This is Ian from Easy Genie Charts and Forms, and today let's go over some of the easy ways to narrow down the results in full text search in FamilySearch. If this video helps, please like it, follow me, and let's get started. So I've been a kind of a home genealogist, family historian for a long time. I've used FamilySearch for a long time, and I love it, but full text search takes things to a different level. Unfortunately, one of the problems is when you search for a name, oftentimes in the results, you'll get millions of results, and you need a couple ways to narrow them down. They actually full text search. They actually have a couple search tips in the right below the kind of the search keywords and other data. So one thing you can do: find an exact word or phrase, use quotation marks. So I use this all the time. So John Wallace, I'm going to put quotation marks around that. I already have information about where the records I think they are and the year range. So I'm going to click search after putting quotation marks, and let's see what happens to the number of results. Let's see if it goes from 3.7 million to something a lot less. All right, that's pretty good. So it reduced it to 8,946 results, which is very, very helpful. The other thing you can do is you can start to do things like exclude a specific word or phrase. So I do like to do that. Typically what I do is in the keywords area, I'll put a minus symbol and then I'll put a phrase. So Alexander. I've noticed that Alexander is not related to my Wallaces, but he shows up a lot when I search for John Wallace. So let's see what happens when I add minus Alexander in quotation marks and see what happens to the results. So it went from 8,960 or so to 7,231. So it got rid of about 1,500 or 1,600 results just by eliminating Alexander. So there's a couple other things that you can do at this point to reduce the number of results, because this is still a large number of records to go through. I want to get it down to like less than 100 if I can. So one thing you can do is you can work on the year. So filter by year: 1700, 1800, 1900. So I don't have any interest in the 1700s, of course. I think most of the best results will be in the 1800s, but there may be some in the 1900s. But for the time being, let's just look at the 1800s results. And you can even narrow it down further. So I know that this family, they lived in the Welland area between 1860 and 1870. However, I also know that they had family connections, and they sometimes would come back to the area later on. But let's just start with the 1860s, because I know that that's a time when they were in the area for sure. And I'm going to click apply and see what happens. Okay, so now we're down to 858. That's getting better. The next thing you can do, that I like to do at least, is either sort by collection or by record type. Record type may be a little bit faster. So I'm looking for property records. Unfortunately, you can see that there's legal records, property records, deeds. There's land records under a separate area. There's wills, and then there's deed indices. So maybe what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to go directly to the collection, because I think that might be a better way to look at it. Now, there's still quite a few things here to look at, but you can see that there's different types of records that might be applicable to what I'm looking for. So let's take a look at the properties in Ontario from 1856 to 1893, 447. So that's going to reduce the numbers even further. And let's see, I really want to get it down to less than a 100. So 447. Place, I can't really do anything with that. And let's see if there's any further things I can do. All right, so this is actually good. I don't want deed indices. Those aren't useful to me. I do want property records. So I'm going to get it down to below 400. And at this point, I don't think I can get it any lower than that. I'm going to start to need to browse through these. So what I might do is actually start to open these up and look at them. And then if I determine that names are coming up that I'm not interested in, I can just discard those. And then another piece of advice when you have a lot of results to go through in full text search, usually at the top, the ones at the top are usually the highest relevance. If you go to the bottom, you start to get into situations where it may not be the person that you're looking for, especially if you're not using quotation marks around the name. So anyways, that's how I approach these types of challenges. Another thing that I could do is, because I know John Wallace's name was Sarah, so I'm going to put in, let's see here, include a specific word or phrase. Use the plus symbol. So I'm going to add plus Sarah. Let's see what that does. All right, I'm down to under 100. So basically the way that it worked is using quotation marks around the name, excluding names, or it could be a person's name or a place name that I know is not related, adding the name of another relative who might turn up in the results, and then using these filters, record type, place, year, and collection, to really focus on a certain period of time, a certain type of record, or a very specific location. This is Ian from Easy Genie Genealogy Charts and Forms. I hope this helped. If it did, please take a moment to like this video and follow me, and I'll see you next time.